On February 21st of last year, the World Health Organization hadn't even declared COVID-19 a pandemic yet. And statistics from the CDC show just 24 Americans had died from this new virus. But just 1 year later, nearly 500,000 people have died from COVID in the U.S. The New York Times puts it starkly. More Americans have perished from COVID-19 than on the battlefields of World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined. Again, this just happening in 1 year. And even as we edge closer to 500,000 lives lost, there are some glimmers of hope. Case counts are down, the death rate is easing, and the U.S. has given an estimated 63 million vaccinations so far. And as the world races to get ahead of coronavirus mutations, CNN's Polo Sandoval joins me now with the very latest on vaccine efforts here in the U.S. So, Polo, you're in New York where vaccine shipments have been delayed due to bad weather. Where do things stand now?
Fewer than 1,000 doses of that, at least that first dose of the vaccine, Pam, available to New Yorkers. That's certainly, a lot of people here would call that unacceptable, especially given the winter weather that we've experienced. So there are hopes that those deliveries that have been due for a while now will begin arriving as early as tomorrow, as the mayor's office put earlier, that those delayed shipments, at least here in New York City, they brought their vaccination efforts practically to a standstill. Some hope today from the nation's top infectious disease expert. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN State of the Union it's possible the country may start returning to normal by the end of this year. But until then, he says, mask wearing and social distancing measures are critical.
You're fully vaccinated. Are you seeing your family?
Right now, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I would look forward to it within a reasonable period of time as the rest of my family gets vaccinated.
Fauci also insists that for now, the U.S. is sticking with a two-dose schedule backed up by data and clinical trials. This comes amid debate about delaying second doses to make more first doses available to the public. The White House promises to make up for lost ground after winter weather delayed the delivery of about 6 million doses last week. New York's vaccine counter currently showing fewer than 1,000 first doses remaining in the city.
So we've been able to get about 2 million of those 6 million doses out. We expect to rapidly catch up this week, fill that backlog, make sure they're out to communities, and also meet our deadlines and our timelines of the doses that are due to go out this upcoming week.
Despite delays, vaccines are still making it into arms at a rate of about 1.5 million a day nationally, even in parts of the country difficult to access by land. This VA clinic in rural central Oregon became the first to fly in their vaccine doses, making them available to older veterans. And described as a massive vaxathon, this Philadelphia 24-hour vaccination clinic got more than 4,000 people their first shot this weekend.
They see this as potentially saving them their lives, but also giving them their livelihood back.
I have a husband, I have children and grandchildren, and I want to be around to be with them.
Expect global attention to once again focus on the origins of the virus.
We do not believe that China has made available sufficient original data into how this pandemic began to spread, both in China and then eventually around the world. And we believe that both the WHO and China should step up on this matter.
Investigators tell CNN a preliminary report from the World Health Organization will soon be released. It's expected to call for extensive contact tracing to the first known COVID-19 patient back in late 2019. Investigators believe the patient was an office worker in his 40s from Wuhan, China. Also key to the investigation, a closer look at supply chains in the Hunan seafood market that's thought to have played a role in the early stages of the pandemic before the virus started spreading in the United States. Another tough prediction coming from Dr. Fauci earlier this morning, too, Pam. He says that it is still possible that Americans may still have to wear their masks even into 2022. As you know, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say that that is still one of the most effective ways of preventing transmission of COVID-19. So really yet another different kind of norm that many of us could expect possibly even next year.
It certainly is. Polo Sandoval, thank you so much for bringing us the latest there. Well, the state of Texas is beginning to thaw after the major winter storm there, but a recovery from the power crisis is far from over. CNN's Natasha Chen joins me now from Houston. So what is the situation like on the ground there, Natasha?
Yeah, Pamela, just a few hours ago, this lot we're standing in was filled with cars. This event just wrapped up, a mass distribution event, 3,600 meals delivered, pallets and pallets of bottled water. Now, even though Houston's boil water notice has been lifted, along with 145 other boil water notices this weekend, bottled water may still really be necessary as millions of Texans are still experiencing disruptions in water service. And people have busted pipes at home. That includes the volunteers who came today. They told me about their busted pipes, but they still came out to help their fellow neighbors who are facing the same challenges.
So we lost power on Sunday night and we got it back Wednesday. Things have defrosted enough that we were able to get in and check out stuff, and we had lines that were just gushing water, so now we've got zero water in the house just due to having to turn it off until somebody can come out here to start fixing things.
Rachel Stevens was without power and water for days. Now her family is left to clean up the damage left behind from frozen pipes, conditions found across much of the state.
Right now, with so many homes across the city having pipes that burst because of the frigid weather and major leaks, major water damage, we need a lot of plumbing materials and supplies like right now.
In the meantime, Texas officials are investigating the massive bills some customers who pay variable rates for their energy are now facing.
While I'm trying to get, gas and groceries and make sure that my pipes don't explode, the last thing that I'm thinking about is a $7,000 bill from my utility company.
All of this was foreseeable. I wrote about it in 2011. And so for these exorbitant costs, it's not the consumers who should assume that cost. They are not at fault for what happened this week. The bill should go to the state of Texas.
Calls for accountability are also coming from the other side of the aisle.
This was preventable. This wasn't a problem with any individual fuel source. This was a problem of lack of leadership and lack of long-term planning.
We all have a voice, and we all need to use it accordingly, because there's a lot of people in leadership that are just really just chilling in Cancun.
Also this weekend, embattled Texas Senator Ted Cruz is tweeting pictures of himself handing out bottled water to residents. Cruz has been under fire after he was spotted jetting to Cancun with his family, while many Texans suffered through the storm.
Look, when a crisis hits my state, I'm there. I'm not going to go on some vacation. I know Mr. Cruz called it a mistake, and he's owned up to that, but I think that was a big mistake.
And the state leaders are now turning their attention to those enormous energy bills. The Texas governor said today that the Public Utility Commission in the state called an emergency meeting to issue a moratorium on disconnection of service due to non-payment, and also to restrict electric providers from sending invoices at this time. He said that would allow time to address those skyrocketing energy bills. Pamela.
All right, Natasha Chen live for us from Houston. Thank you.